All right, let's go ahead and kick things off here. Thank you for coming to the talk today. I appreciate it. My name is Jay Spann with a company called Swimlane, and we make a security automation tool. Today's talk is really all about why security automation is so important. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples here of what I believe is the reason for the importance. But one of the things you want to keep in mind is when people do tend to talk about automation, one of the first things they always assume is that it's only going to help a specific role. So one of the things that I like to point out right away is automation is there to help a lot of people, not just the analysts. We can help a lot of different roles do a lot of different things when you do security automation correctly. So first of all, let's talk about, let's say, the executive role, all right? Cybersecurity executive. Now, if you're an executive, one of the things that you're going to be responsible for, you're going to be responsible for reporting things like key metrics. You're going to be responsible for reporting on programs that you hold the responsibility for. You're going to have to give those to the board of directors. You're going to have to report on these and say, where am I? What's going on with these programs? Now, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that things you're going to see on the screen, don't worry about whether or not you can read the actual numbers or what the programs are or what the words are. That's not what's critical here. What's critical here is what we are able to convey. And if you look at that screenshot, one of the things that you can see is this is a dashboard that is going to tell somebody information about what they're responsible for. Those gauges, those charts are different programs. They might be things like cloud security, or they might be the preparedness of the individuals, or they might be vulnerability management. But whatever the program is, because automation can see and touch that data, you can report on it and provide real-time visibility into what's going on with those programs. So that's one thing that automation can do. But that's not the only thing. If you have a different role in the organization, let's say you're a manager, you might still be responsible for reporting on important information about what's going on, but you have different types of key metrics and different types of information that you're going to be responsible for. And you might have something like the chart that you see at the top of this. This is called a SAN key chart that can dynamically tell you the relationships that occur between, well, whatever you want to measure. In this case, if you look at the columns that are on that report, there's actually 5 of them. And you can add columns, you can remove columns, you can change the order of the columns. But what you can see is the relationships that those have. So like on the left-hand side, we might be starting out with where did the detection occur? What was the actual tool that detected something? And then in the next column, when did that come in? Was it on first shift, second shift, third shift? Was it a true positive? Was it a false positive? What tools are we remediating it with? Those are all types of things that you could tell. And by quickly changing what those elements are, you can see their relationships. You can also track things like MTTR, MTTD, dwell time, all those things that are important as a manager, including how well are my teams doing? How well is the staff doing? How well are my tools working? And find out where you have gaps that you need to fill. Automation can do that as well. Now, if you're the orchestrator, if you're somebody who is responsible for creating the actual automations that occur, then automation is important to you too, but in a totally different aspect. Because automation to you should be something that is very quick and easy to build so that you can take what was a manual process, a tedious process, and then automate it very quickly and easily using a drag and drop methodology. What you see in this example is just a simple playbook. But what we're doing is we're taking an existing process and dragging in and dropping the building blocks that are saying, here's what I need to automate, and here's how I want that automation to occur. And of course, if you're the actual user, the person who has to do the work, then if you're somebody like an analyst, you're going to have a lot more that you're very interested in when it comes to the automation. In this case, you're going to be interested in how can I do my work better? How can I do my work faster? How can I do my work in a way that it doesn't make me so burnt out? Because that is one of the key things that's going on right now in the industry is a lot of analyst burnout because of all those manual, tedious, repetitive tasks that people have to do. So if you have a screen like this where I can see at a glance the alert, everything that came in from the alert, all the enrichment that was done around the alert, and do the remediation all right from this one screen, now all of a sudden my life becomes a whole lot easier because I have everything I need right in front of me and I don't have to spend all that time doing that manual effort. So the way to emphasize just how important this is to take you through an example, what I call next level security. But in order to understand next level security, you kind of have to understand what's going on right now in the industry. Now, just out of curiosity, anybody in the room that is a security analyst or has been a security analyst? Several. Excellent. Excellent. So you understand this better than anyone else. If you haven't been a security analyst, then you're going to certainly have an appreciation for it right here. So let's talk about the traditional process. The traditional process in cybersecurity is, well, stage one, you have an alert. Now, of course, that alert could be anything. And by anything, I mean it could come from any number of tools. Maybe it's a SIM. For anybody that doesn't know that acronym, Security Information and Event Management or Monitoring. And you'll notice there's a couple of different screenshots coming by. All right, they're different tools. They're different types of SIM tools. The point is, it doesn't matter what the SIM tool is. It matters an alert occurred, but it doesn't have to be SIM. There are other tools that provide alerts in the environment. It could be an EDR tool, endpoint detection and response. So with an EDR tool, once again, there are a lot of different tools out there. There are a lot of good ones, but they all have different look and feel. In fact, if you're a managed service provider or a managed security service provider, you probably even have the added challenge of having to deal with multiples of these tools, and they all aren't even the same. And as you jump from customer to customer, it's harder to do. But if you're using automation, you can make them all look and act and feel the same and do the job more easily. So stage one is we have an alert. So right now, let's just take an imaginary alert here. This one is coming off VMware Carbon Black. So an alert occurred. We could go in, we can click on it. Again, what's on the screen as far as the words, we're not worried about that. We're worried about the process here. We find an alert. We click on the alert. We can go get some more details of the alert. And as we go get more details of the alert, what we're going to learn is this one, the one that we're going to be investigating here, somebody clicked on something, there was a malicious file that was involved, there was a hash associated with it. So we need to now move on to the next stage and do some investigation. All right, let's investigate. So we're going to go take this alert that we've got. We're going to find that alert information. We're going to right click on it. We're going to copy the hash that's associated with it. And then we're going to move on and we're going to now start doing some enrichment here. So let's look for some threat intel. We're going to use threat intel tools. There's a lot of them, many of them. Some are free, some are paid. You can get good information, but ideally you're going to work with at least one or two or three because, well, let's face it, we're not going to just trust only one result, right? So let's get a couple of them. Once we get that information, we don't just have to use that information. We have to understand that information. That means we have to, in many cases, go to these tools, log in, paste the information, which is the hash that we had copied, get the result, copy the information, and start preparing a report about this for each tool. That's a lot of data. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot to manage. And in fact, as we go through this, well, I mean, it speaks for itself. You know, copy and paste into a bunch of different tools, it's a lot of work. It takes time. In fact, as we step through this and go into the next portion of this, which is now we evaluate and make our decision and take action, we've got a lot of different results that we have to evaluate. So here's a lot of different tools we could use. Here's some different scores that we might have gotten. But as an analyst, it's our job to go, okay, here's my decision and here's why I made that decision and back it up with all the data that we just went and got. That's a lot of work. Is that result malicious? Is it benign? Is it suspicious? Let's assume for the moment it was malicious and we now need to remediate. All right, we have more work to do. We need to do more work. So let's go take action. In this case, we might be going back to the same tool, like an EDR tool, and we might find that particular system and block it. So isolate it from the network. But that's one screen that you go to. And then you have to go up and find the right system and then right click and say, all right, I want to isolate the system. Or maybe we want to block the hash. So then for that, you have to go to a totally different section of the EDR system and find that result and go to the right place and take the right action. It's a lot of steps. And if you think about how long I've been talking through this process to do all of these different steps, well, how much time did that take? I mean, think about that for a minute. And in all seriousness, how long does it take an analyst to go through and handle an alert up to this point? 10 minutes? 15? An hour? Somebody that's been an analyst, what's an average time? 15 minutes maybe? Okay, that's fair. Oh, and by the way, in that 15 minutes, how many more alerts just came in? Yeah, now you know the problem. It wasn't one, it was 2, 10, 15, 100. You can't keep up like that. And that is why you need next level security. And that is why automation is so critical. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the next one together using automation. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, an alert comes in, boom. Oh, there it is. Done. Magically. Okay. In the real world, no, you're not going to automate the entire process in most cases. Yeah, you might if it's benign, but think about this for a moment. An alert comes in, automation can go take that alert data, it can do the enrichment, it can make a determination, and if it is benign, we can get that automatically handled. If we want to do other steps automatically, we can. And the beauty to this is that's what automation can do. And the ones that we need to put in front of an analyst, they now have everything they need at their disposal. In fact, they can go back to a screen like this where the alert has come in, the enrichment's been done, and they can look at all the data. It's already been gathered for them. They can simply scroll down to the section where the remediation needs to take place, look at the factors involved, say, well, I've got all of these pieces of information. Here are the appropriate actions that I can take on the other side. And then I can click that and execute that action. Oh, and by the way, I don't have to prepare the report for this. I can have the automation go ahead and take everything that's already there in the record and prepare the report and attach it to the record. It saves an enormous amount of time. Now, while that's a great example of how you can use automation, it's not the only way that you can use automation. And if you're going to use automation, there are some things that you really, really need to consider. So let's talk about those for a moment. Number one, what I call point versus program. And what I mean by this is you should not have to go in and write all of this code yourself. It should be a drag and drop environment where you can build it out the way that you want to. Now, you saw an earlier example of a playbook being built. Very similar design here. It goes across horizontally instead of vertically, but that's about the only real difference. The beauty is you drop in the actions you want, and then you fill in the blanks. There's no coding required. And what that means is you don't have to have somebody tell you how to do this process. You already have a process. It works. You can use that process and build this around it. I mentioned using it maybe in cooperation with AI. Now, of course, AI is its own subject entirely. But one of the things about using AI, if you're going to use it, is make sure you use it responsibly and in ways that will help benefit what you're trying to accomplish. So the two examples you see on the screen are AI to help you build a better playbook and AI to help you write code if you do decide that you want to. It's not that you can't write code. You can. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. And if you do, you can have AI help you write that and then fill it in for you. Or better yet, use AI on the right-hand side of this screen. Again, it's not easy to read or anything, but on the right-hand side of the screen, you see what looks like paragraph text? That would be AI doing an executive case summary and providing recommended actions. Not doing the steps for the analysts. Obviously, you could do that if you want, but that's typically not what you want to do. But use AI to help you with it. Or, how about this scenario? Connecting to the different tools. Anybody, just out of curiosity, anybody count how many different tools we have on the show floor here? No, nobody's counted that, right? No. But there are a lot. And that's the point. There are a lot of really good tools here, so it should be easy to connect to them. And that's why when you go to use automation, you should be able to just simply scroll through the menu of connectors, find the one that you want, say, hey, let me add this one to the list, and then connect to that tool. Or in our case, one of the things that we think is very important is also give you a generic HTTP connector so that you can connect to anything, even if it's maybe something that there is no connector for yet. All right? And then what about this? Make it highly customizable and configurable. What I mean by that is make it yours. Make it do what you want it to do the way you want to do it. And so as an example, take a look at these screenshots. You've seen a couple of them already. There's one that's got a MITRE heat map on the bottom. for the TTPs that you might observe in the cases, or the one that we saw earlier with the sand key chart and other types of measurements. Here's another dashboard. Again, these are all, the main thing you'll notice is they're all different. They're all unique. Or this one, hopefully this is not giving you chemistry nightmares. Always gives me a little chemistry flashback. But it's a real dashboard. The point is, it's easy to do because it's so highly customizable. You can create exactly what you need for the reports of the platform. And then last but not least, let's wrap it up with this point, and that is that automation can solve a lot of different use cases. So for example, this one. This particular use case uses a tool called Recorded Future. Familiar with Recorded Future? Some good data, right? This one, they're scanning the dark web. They're providing information about whatever we've asked them to monitor. So let's say maybe the swimlane.com domain. Anytime there's a hit, then we're pulling in that data. We're finding, are there any users associated with it? If there are, do they match our current user list? Are they an active user? Immediately disable their account, immediately notify their superior, immediately reset their password. We can automate all that. Or how about this one? This one uses a tool called Data Miner. They go out there and they comb like social media and scanner feeds and all kinds of things for good information. But with that data, we can also integrate it into the automation, provide information about where our assets are, whether they're physical assets or people, equipment, whatever they are, and then send alerts whenever there's anything within a certain distance area that matches. Let people know, hey, there is a flood in this area. Don't send your truck there. All right? By the way, I didn't mention I live in Orlando, Florida, so flood, big thing right now with hurricane, obviously. Or this one. A group of attorneys wanted to make sure that their paralegals did not miss anything in the process. So what they did, they went ahead and created a use case that sent data from one place to the next every time the box was checked, making sure it made it through the process. Or this one, for an OT company that was trying to do NERC-CIP compliance, but they hated all the aspects of the reporting. So they built the use case around gathering the data for the reporting and automatically building the report. Or this one, using data from Elastic to find anybody that logs in after hours and is maybe an insider threat. Or, and I'll be honest, this one's my favorite, domain squatting. How long would it take you, think about this for just a second, how long would it take you to check every day all the domains that are registered and find the ones that closely match your domain name? Anybody in here only have one domain name? No, it's usually 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 or whatever. Yeah, the point is you can't do that manually, but automation can do that instantly, and any that do match, we can go out there and see, are they live? If they're live, take a screenshot, see what code is on the page, and even send an automated takedown request. Oh, and by the way, if they're not live today, keep testing them on a regular basis. So if they do go live, because attackers, let's face it, they'll create the domain, but maybe not make it live for a few months. When they do go live, then immediately alert someone. We can do that through automation. Or Atomic Red Team, pen testing through automation. Or, and this is another one that just seems to be kind of off the scale of unique, but it's one that we had a customer ask us about. They wanted to do retail security, and when any events occurred in a retail security environment, automatically grab the camera footage associated with it and attach it to the record. The point is, security automation is a must in today's environment. If you want to learn more, please come see the swim lane booth on the other side of the room at booth 325. Thank you guys for attending. Have a great day.